Hello friends, today we are going to see one of the very important topic for banking exams, that is mensuration. There will definitely be question on mensuration, be it 2D or be it 3D. The question can be asked in any type. In the sense, a question can be a single question or a question could be data sufficiency question or quantity comparison type of question. But whenever the question will be asked, it will be strictly formula based question, and that too, we have to stick with very basic figure under the mensuration. You don't have to prepare for the difficult figures like kite or trapezium or rhombus or parallelogram or in 3D, the frustrums, etc. You are never going to be asked those type of figures in these exams. The figures under 2D will be very basic like squares, rectangles, equilateral triangle, right angle triangle, circle and semicircle. And in 3D also very easily cube, cuboid, cones, cylinders and sphere, hemisphere. So even you have all the formulas like surface areas, volumes, areas, and perimeters for all these figures, 2D or 3D, then you can consider this topic is done because the questions will be actually very easy and only formula based. So we'll have to see first all the figures in 2D one by one and we'll derive the formula related and then we'll see some questions. But before we go for that, one must know what Pythagoras theorem is because there will be definitely application of Pythagoras theorem in deriving the formulas. So I hope everybody knows Pythagoras theorem, but if not, let us just recall quickly. So what Pythagoras theorem states is, if we have a triangle which is right angle triangle, like this, where this angle is 90 degree. So in such a triangle, if this side is A, this side is B, and this side is C, so then we know C square is A square plus B square. C square is A square plus B square. This is what a Pythagoras theorem is. That means if we say A is equal to 3, B is equal to 4, so 3 square plus 4 square, that is 9 plus 16, which is 25. 25 is C square. So C becomes under root of 25 means 5. So third side becomes 5. So if three sides of the triangles are 3, 4, 5, that means that is a right angle triangle because it follows the Pythagoras theorem. So it's vice versa also. But not only that, if I take multiples of theirs, for example, if I multiplied A by 2, it becomes 6, B becomes 8, and C becomes 10. So that is also a triplet. So 6, 8, 10 also is a triplet. So this is a basic triplet. All the multiples of it is going to be triplet. If I say 30 is one side, 40 is another side, the highest side is going to be 50 because we are multiplying it by 10. So some basic triplet, if you already know, then you don't have to all the time do this calculation. You can save your time. So one basic triplet you know. Another could be 20, 21, 29. This is one of the triplet. 5, 12, 13. This is another triplet. So such triplets, if you can find on Google or somewhere, and you can just keep a note of it, that will be really helpful because in the exams, you don't all the time have time to do 20 square plus 21 square is how much, and then calculate its root. It is better to know already what the triplets are. So please make sure that you note all the basic triplet, not very tricky, all the basic triplet at one place and keep that with you when you solve the questions. Easy? Okay. Another thing, before we start with the actual mensuration, sometimes in some exams, it has been observed the questions will were regarding to the sum of angles of the polygon or the number of sides. So we can just quickly see the formula directly. Let's not go too much into the derivation part of it because derivation they of course never ask. And secondly, very rarely they ask these type of things. So if I draw a polygon, the polygon means what? Polygon means a diagram with multiple sides. So let's say this is a pentagon. So this is a pentagon. So in a pentagon, number of sides are 5. So there are two types of things can be asked. What is the sum of angles? Sum of all angles. And second thing is, what is the number of diagonals? So sum of angles, we have formula for that is, if number of sides is n, so n minus 2 into 180 degree. This is direct formula. The derivation is easy, but as I said, actually does not make any sense to go for the derivation. And the formula for number of diagonals is n into n minus 3 upon 2. So for example, for this figure, if you want to know what is the sum of all the interior angles, sum of all these 5 angles, you just have to put n is equal to 5 in this formula because the number of sides are 5. So by putting n is equal to 5 here, we get 3 into 180 degree. That is 540. So 540 degree will be sum of all the angles. And you talk about the number of diagonals. Now diagonal means what? Diagonal means the lines touching any 2 points like this. Of course, not the neighboring two, any 2 points, but the neighbors. So 1 diagonal, 2 diagonal, this is 3rd diagonal, this is 4th diagonal, and this is 5th diagonal. So there are these 5 diagonals for this diagram. So how we can calculate that without drawing? With the help of formula. The formula says number of diagonals is n into n minus 3 upon 2. So putting n is equal to 5 here, we get 5 into 5 minus 3, that is 2 upon 2. 2 gets cancelled and the number of diagonals are 5. So there are these 2 important things. You directly remember the formula, can be used in some of the exams. Now let's start with the actual part of the mensuration with the very basic figure, that is d square. Pythagoras theorem we already saw. Let us start with the square. So square has 4 sides, as you know. All 4 sides are equal. So if this is a, this is also a, this is also a, this is also a, and all the angles are also equal and all angles are 90 degree. That kind of figure is called as square. So for square, we know what is the area of square. Area of the square is given by a into a, or a square. Then there is another term we call perimeter. Perimeter means sum of all sides. So sum of all sides, a plus a plus a plus a, is going to be 4a. And sometimes we might require to calculate the diagonal here. Diagonal means this. This is called as the diagonal. Both the diagonals will be equal naturally. So the length of the diagonal is, you can use the Pythagoras theorem for that. This is a, this is a. So that makes this as under root 2 times of a. So the length of diagonal is root 2 times of a. Root 2 times of a. Okay. Let's see the next figure. Next figure is rectangle. In rectangle, the length and breadth might be different. So if I say this is length is L and the breadth is B. So what is the area of the rectangle? As you know, area is length into breadth. What is the perimeter? Perimeter is sum of all sides. So if this is L, this is also L. If this is B, this is also B. All angles are 90 degree. You know what rectangle is, right? So the perimeter is 2 times of length plus breadth. 2 times of L plus 2 times of B. And the diagonal, again, you just have to use the Pythagoras theorem here to figure out this diagonal. And the diagonal is going to be, using Pythagoras theorem, under root of L square plus B square. Under root of L square plus B square. Got this? Let's see the next figure. Now for any general triangle, this is a general triangle. If I say this side is base, B, base is B. And if you draw a perpendicular from the opposite vertex, the length of which is h. H is called as the height. This is the height. Then the area of this triangle is half into base into height. This is the formula that you are going to use. Another formula is called Heron's formula that also can be used. If I say this side is A, this side is C, and this side is B. So to use Heron formula, first of all, you have to calculate the semi-perimeter. As for semi-perimeter, semi-perimeter means the perimeter is a plus b plus c upon 2. So you will first calculate the semi-perimeter and then use that semi-perimeter to find the area with the help of Heron's formula. So Heron's formula says the area will be under root of s into s minus a into s minus b into s minus c. So if you are given all three sides, but the height is not known, all three sides are known, then you can use the Heron's formula to calculate the area like this. Got this? Let's see one more form of triangle. There are this specific right angle triangles. We should know few things about the special right angle triangles. Now, this is one of the special right angle triangle which has the angles as 30 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree. So if this angle is 30 degree, this angle is 60 degree, and this angle is 90 degree. So calculating area of right angle triangle is very easy, because if I say this is A, this is B, and this is hypotenuse H, then the area is going to be half into A into B, because A and B are perpendicular with each other. So A can be considered as the height and B can be considered as base. So area finding is very easy. But what important part is the ratio of the opposite sides. So if we say if 30 opposite side is 1, or let's say x, if 30 opposite side is x, then 90 opposite side is 2x and 60 opposite side is root 3x. So they possess a specific ratio between the sides if that is a special triangle 30, 60, 90. So 30 degree, 60 degree and 90 degree opposite sides, if 30 degree opposite is x, 90 degree opposite side then is 2x. It is going to be 2 times of it. And 60 degree opposite side is going to be root 3 times of x. That is going to be fixed every time. That means if you cut out the xx, it becomes 1 is to root 3 is to 2. You must know this ratio already, because sometimes it might happen that they give you a right angle triangle like this. See, a right angle triangle is given with the angles as 30, 60 and 90. And they don't give you the height and breadth. They just give you the hypotenuse. They just give the length of hypotenuse as say 20. And they ask what is the area of this triangle. So for area, you require base also and height also, this also, this also. But now you know, if 90 opposite angle side is 20, so 30 opposite side is going to be half of it, that is 10. And 60 degree opposite side is going to be 10 root 3. And you can find area easily. Area will be half into 10 into 10 root 3. So that becomes 50 root 3. The area will be 50 root 3. Easy. For that, you have to know the ratio for these triangles. Easy. Okay. दूसरा एक स्पेसिफिक टाइप का ट्रायंगल होता है जिसको हम बोलते हैं 45 90 45. So that triangle also has similar type of properties. If this angle is 45 degree, this angle is 45 degree, and this angle is 90 degree. So if 45 opposite side is x, this 45 opposite side is also x, and this 90 degree opposite side is root 2 times of x. So the ratio that they possess is 45, 90, 45. The ratio of the sides opposite to this are, if 45 opposite side is 1, the other 45 opposite side is also 1, and 90 degree opposite side is root. So this ratio also you have to memorize, because as we discussed earlier, questions can be asked where you are expected to know this ratio. That will make it very simple. Then you don't have to go to trigonometry and etc. for solving easy questions. Because if they ask the question, there will be only these two right angle triangles they'll be talking about. Okay. So this is about the right angle triangle. Now let us come to one of the very important figure and my personal favorite, that is equilateral triangle. Equilateral triangle can have amazing question based on it. So equilateral triangle के प्रॉपर्टी क्या होती है, इसके तीनों एंगल्स इक्वल होते हैं, तो इक्वल होंगे अगर तीनों का सम भी फिक्स होता है 180 डिग्री, सो साइड्स भी इक्वल होंगे, एंगल्स भी इक्वल होंगे. सो ऑल द एंगल्स आर इक्वल, ऑल द साइड्स आल्सो आर इक्वल. Now, if you want to find the area of equilateral triangle, you will have to find first the height. This is the height that you need to find. Now you can use the Pythagoras theorem for that, because you know if you are drawing perpendicular from this vertex, the opposite side if A, it is going to divide it into exact two parts. So this will be A by 2, this will be A by 2. And accordingly, you can use Pythagoras theorem and solve. But as we discussed, you don't actually require the derivations, you just require the formula. So let's directly use the formula or write the formula for height. Height will be root 3 by 2 times of A. So if the side of the equilateral triangle is A, the height will be root 3 by 2 times of A. And using this height and this as a base, you can calculate the formula, calculate the area, and that will be root 3 by 4 A square. Root 3 by 4 times of A square. So these two things about equilateral triangle you must know. Let's see what else we got. Now, as I was telling you, they don't ask the questions from the other polygons like trapezium, hexagon. But even if they ask, and you already have learned the triangles topic, so you can derive the area into triangle. Now, what is a trapezium? Trapezium is a figure where the opposite sides are parallel with each other. At least one of the pair. One pair is parallel with each other. That figure is called as trapezium. Let's say the distance between these two is h. The distance is h. So even without knowing any formula, you can just divide this trapezium into two triangles like this. Now we have two triangles. One of the triangle has base as A and height as h, because height means what? The distance from base to the vertex. So this distance is nothing but h. So for this triangle, the area will be half into base into height. And for this triangle also, the area will be half into base. The base is B and the height is h. And you want the area of the complete trapezium, so you just have to add that. So that becomes half. The area becomes half into AH plus half into BH. If you take half H common, what remains is A plus B. So you can just memorize it as half into sum of the parallel sides into H means the distance between them. This is how you can memorize this formula. But as I said, because you can form it into triangle in case if it asks, and you don't have to memorize every such figure. Only the basic figure that we have discussed so far, they are essential and important. So parallelogram also you can break into two triangles and accordingly you can solve. Hexagon also. Now hexagon has a specific property. If there is a hexagon given, what you can do is you can divide it by joining the larger diagonals like this. You can divide it into 6 equilateral triangles. So if this is a regular hexagon, regular means all 6 sides are equal. If all 6 sides are A, and once you draw all the bigger diagonals like this, so that will divide the given hexagon into 6 equilateral triangles. So all the sides here are going to be A because they are now equilateral triangles. Every of these triangles, that is equilateral. So all sides are going to be equal. So even if the side of the hexagon is given, you know one of such equilateral triangle will have area as root 3 by 4 A square. And there are 6 such triangles. So just multiply it with 6. And you can derive your own formula. So for any other figure, you can derive your own formula. That's why you are not required to memorize the formulas. Got this? चलिए अब कुछ क्वेश्चंस देखते हैं इसके ऊपर. अच्छा सर्कल बाकी है, सर्कल देख लेते हैं. Circle is important figure again. तो सर्कल में तो आपको पता है एक ही पैरामीटर ट्राई टू मेजर द सर्कल, दैट इज इट्स रेडियस। इसको बोलते हैं रेडियस, और जो इसका डबल होता है उसको बोलते हैं डायमीटर। सो इस तरह से अगर आप एक रेडियस को एंड टू एंड इस तरह से ज्वाइन करते हो, तो इसको बोलते हैं डायमीटर। सो डायमीटर इज नेचुरली गोइंग टू बी 2 टाइम्स ऑफ रेडियस, 2 टाइम्स ऑफ रेडियस। सर्कल को उसका एरिया होता है, एरिया ऑफ द सर्कल इज गिवन एज पाई आर स्क्वायर, जहां पे आपको पता है पाई का वैल्यू होता है 22/7 और 3.14। बट एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से हमें मोस्टली यही फिगर यूज करना होता है, क्योंकि जो रेडियस आपको दिया जाता है वो 7 का ही मल्टीपल, इट इज मोस्टली मल्टीपल ऑफ 7, सो बेटर यू यूज दिस फॉर्मूला। एंड देन अनदर पार्ट इज कॉल्ड एज सर्कमफेरेंस। सर्कमफेरेंस का मतलब है if you tie a rope around this circle like this and then you open it from end to end from here to here, if you tie a rope like this and you open it, whatever the length of that rope is called as the circumference. That means basically the length of the circle is called as the circumference. The formula for which is 2 pi r. The formula is 2 pi. Then comes the semicircle. Now semicircle will have its radius like this. This is the radius. If you talk about the area, area is going to be exactly half, because the circle had area pi r square. So the semicircle will have area pi r square upon 2. And if you talk about the perimeter of circle was 2 pi r. So semicircles, this part will be half of it, which is pi r. But this is a closed figure, so we have to add these two as well. This should also be added. So pi r, that is 2r. So perimeter of a closed semicircle is going to be pi r plus 2r. Perimeter or circumference. It means the same basically, but for a circular figure we use the word circumference. Then there is a sector and arc. Now sector is a closed figure. So this entire figure is called as the sector. This entire figure is called as the sector. Let's say it makes theta angle with the radius, with the center. This is radius, this is also radius. So if it was entire circle, the area would have been pi r square. The entire circle has 360-degree angle with the center, but we want only theta out of 360. So the area is going to be theta upon 360 of pi r. So area of sector is going to be theta upon 360 of pi r. Arc is open figure. Open figure means just this curvy figure is called as the arc. If that arc is making angle is equal to theta with the center, you can calculate the length of arc. Now the entire circle, if you talk about entire circle, it makes again 360-degree with the center, and that is why the length of entire circle is 2 pi r. But we want only theta part out of it, like this. So theta upon 360 of 2 pi r will be length of the arc. So sufficient, if you understand these many formulas, should be totally sufficient for any banking exams, including RBI Grade B. Let's see some of the questions, important questions. First, difference between the area and perimeter of a square is 96. Find the length of diagonal of the square. So if you know the formula, you don't even have to draw the diagram. Difference between the area and perimeter of square is 96. So you know, I'm drawing for your convenience, but you don't have to draw the figure. If this is a square, the sides are AA, its area is A square, and its perimeter is 4 times of A. They are saying the difference between these two. That means A square minus 4A is given as 96. So this is the quadratic equation. This is the quadratic equation to be solved. So a square minus 4a minus 96 is equal to 0. You know what to be done in these cases is, you have to break the middle term such that the product is 96, the sum will be 4. So can you think of two numbers? 12 into 8, minus 12 plus 8. Minus 12 plus 8 is minus 4. Minus 12 into plus 8 is minus 96. So the roots are going to be plus 12 and minus 8. Minus cannot be the value of a. Root is minus 8 here, but minus 8 cannot be the value of a because a is the side of the square. It can only be positive. So a has to have only one value, which is 12. If a is 12, you are now asked, what is the length of the diagonal? So we already have learned the formula for diagonal of square. If side is 12, the diagonal is 12 root 2. If side is a, the diagonal is a root 2, means 12 root 2. Option number 2 should be the answer. Easy. Let's see one more. A square having area 100 is formed such a way that the diagonal is root 2 times the diagonal of the given square. Then area of new square formed is. So there are two square basically. So we'll draw two square. And their diagonals. So they are saying a square having area 100 meters square is formed such a way that the diagonal is root 2 times of the diagonal of the given square. So if there is this square whose area is 100, so the sides are going to be 10, 10 because, you know, area is side square. So 100 is 10 square, so sides are going to be 10. That means the diagonal is going to be 10 root 2. We are deriving another square whose diagonal is root 2 times of this. That means 10 root 2's root 2 times. That makes it 10 into 2, 20. So what will be the side of this square? If side is a, you know, if side is a, the diagonal is root 2 times of a. So root 2 times of a should be equal to 20. A will be equal to 20 upon root 2 or 2 into 10 upon root 2. That root 2 gets cancelled here with 2 and what remains is 10 root 2. That means the side of this square is 10 root 2. 10 root 2. You are asked what is the area of this. So area will be side square, that is 10 root 2 into 10 root 2. So 100 into 2, 200. So area will be 10 root 2's square. 100 into 2, that is 200 centimeter or meter square. 200 meters square. Option number C should be the answer. Got this? Okay, let's see this. Diameter of wheel is 49 centimeter. The number of revolutions in which it will have to cover a distance of 770 meters is. Oh, this is important question. What do you mean by revolution? Consider there is this wheel right now standing on the ground like this. If you mark the point which is in contact with the earth or ground like this and give it a rotation, so that point will go up, 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 up. And when the point again reaches the ground, you stop the wheel. So the same point when it reaches the ground, can I say, when it started rotating, these points all started touching one by one, one by one, one by one. And then again that point touched. That means from here to here, every point on the wheel have touched the ground exactly once. That means this is the circumference, because this length should be equal to this length, because every point has touched the ground exactly once. That means the circumference is equal to one rotation. So in one rotation, the distance traveled by the wheel is equal to its circumference. So you can just memorize it like this, that one rotation is equal to circumference. So now if this wheel has a diameter 49, that means the radius will be 49 by 2. So what is the circumference? Circumference is 2 into pi into r. This much distance is traveled in one rotation. They are asking in one rotation. We are asked to travel 770 meter. How many rotations are required? How many rotations are required? So let's calculate this quickly. 2 gets cancelled. 7 sevens are, so 22 into 7. That becomes 154. So 154 meter is calculated, is traveled, sorry, centimeter. 154 centimeter is traveled in one rotation. So 770 will be traveled in how many rotation? But this time it is into meters. So 770 meter means 77000 centimeter. So it is simple mathematics. You can do cross multiplication, or you can make the ratio for 154 centimeter if there is one rotation. So for 77000 centimeter, how many rotation? So that makes x is equal to 77000 upon 154. This is 77's 2 times. So 1000 upon 2, it makes it 500. So there will be 500 rotations required. Answer will be option number 1. Easy. Let's see one more. Now this is a typical formula-based question. The formula that we already seen, the ratio between the sides of two regular polygon is 1:2. Ratio between their interior angles is 2:3. Find the number of sides of the polygon. So either you can go with the options also. Quickly, if you go with the options, because you know the ratio between the sides is 1:2. So all the options has sides in the ratio 1:2. Now it says the ratio between the interior angles is 2:3. So 5. If I try to use the first option, that is 5 sides. So 5 sides, the sum of angles will be 5 into the formula for sum of angles that we are seeing is n into, sorry, 180 into n minus 2. N minus 2 into 180 degree. So 5 minus 2 into 180 will be sum. But we want in individual angle. Individual angle will be, we'll have to divide by 5 because it's a regular polygons. That means all sides are going to be, or all angles are going to be equal. So sum of all angles divided by the number of sides, that gives us one single angle. That divided by 10 minus 2 into 180 upon 10. Is this ratio 2:3? Quickly you can calculate. That 180 gets cancelled. That remains 3. That remains 7. So no 8. So 30 upon 40. That ratio is going to be 3/4. So no, that is not the answer. Second option, if you put, now quickly if you try to put, that becomes 4 minus 2 into 180 means 2 into 180 upon 4 divided by 8 minus 2 into 180. That is 6 into 180 upon 8. The 180 gets cancelled. That 4 2 times 2 into 2, 4. 4 by 6 means 2 by 3. So yes, we get 2 by 3 here in this case. So the answer is going to be 4:8. So if the formula based question is there, rather than making a question, you can go with the formula like this. Options like this. It will be easier. Okay, let's see one more. Now this is the question that they asked in RBI Grade B 2018. There are two circles of different radius such that the radius of the smaller circle is 3/7 of the larger circle. A square has, what is the approximate circumference of the smaller circle? So there are first of all 3 figures. There are 2 circles, a square like this. Now it says there are 2 circles, different radius, such that the radius of the smaller circle is 3/7 of the larger circle. So if I say the larger circle has radius 7x the smaller circle will have radius as 3x because it is 3/7 of it. Square whose area equals 3969 square centimeter has its side as thrice the radius of the larger circle. So that means the side is going to be 21x, 21x, 21x. And its area is going to be 3969. So 21x into 21x should be equal to 3969. So you can calculate easily the value of x from here. I think it should be 36 square. It should be, 63 square. It should be 63 square. So it should be 63 into 63. So 3 goes, x square is 9, x should be equal to 3. X should be equal to 3. So if x is 3, they are asking, what is the approximate circumference of the smaller circle? Putting x is equal to 3 here, you get radius as 9. So just put the radius is equal to 9 in the formula of circumference, that is 2 into pi into r. That will give us the circumference of this smaller circle. So that gets us how much? 3.14 if you take 6.69, 54, a little more than 54. The answer should be 56. The answer here approximately is asked. So if you solve this, it should be 56 centimeter. Option number B should be the answer. Got this? Let's see one more such question. Difference between the area of circular field and area of square field is 168 square meter. Side of the square field is equal to diameter of the circular field. So there are circular field, there are two types of field, one circular and one square. One square, one circle. Difference between the area is given 168. Side of the square field is equal to diameter of the circular field. So if circle has radius, let's say r, so diameter will be 2r. It says the side of the square field is equal to diameter of the circular field. So this is 2r. So what is the area of this square here? The side is 2r, 2r into 2r, that is 4r square. What is the area of the circle? You know, that is going to be pi r square. The difference between these two is given as 168. That gets us 28 minus 22. 6r square upon 7 is equal to 168. 6 is 2 times, 6 is 8 times. R square is equal to 28 into 7, which is 196. So R will be equal to 14. That means the radius of circle is 14. They are asking, what is the cost of fencing the square field? R, if you put 14 here, that becomes 28, 28. Both the sides are 28, 28. You have to fence. Fence means the perimeter. The perimeter will be 28 into 4. That is 112. So the perimeter of the square is 112 meter. If you have the cost of 20 rupees per meter, so the total cost is going to be 20 times of this. Total cost is going to be 112 into 20. That is 2240. 2240 is the total cost. Option number D. Got this? So, as I said, even in the exams like RBI Grade B, the questions will be asked, which will be strictly formula based. If you know the formula, you can easily solve the question. There is not as much tricks required like you can require in other topics like percentage, profit and loss. Here something might have to think or analyze about the question, but here analyzation part will be zero. It's just about the calculation and knowing the formula. So this was about the mensuration 2D. Let's now discuss mensuration 3D. Okay, let's now see the 3D. There are other questions you can try on your own will be provided to you in the practice. Okay. Now coming to the 3D mensuration. So for 3D mensuration, first of all, you need to understand what are the prisms and what are the pyramids. Now, prism is the name that we associate with one physics particular experiment that the Newton did. And when we think of the prism, only one type of figure comes in our mind, like this, that the Newton used to split the light. This was the 3D figure he used. Then light was sent from one side, and then 7 dispersion of light and all. But this is not the only prism. Please understand, friends, prism is the generic name. Prism is the generic name. Like human is a generic name. My name is Prasanna, so that becomes my specific name. So prism is not the specific name. Prism is a generic name for certain kind of 3D figures. So yes, this is prism, but this is one of the prism. The appropriate or the specific name of it is triangular prism. So another prism, if I draw like this figure is also the prism. Now you might say that this is a cylinder. Cylinder is its specific name. Prism is its generic name. If I draw a figure like this, that is also prism. One might say this is a cube. Cube or cuboid are the specific names. Generic name is prism. So all these, they fall under same category of prism. So why we need to understand that? Because all such 3D figures, they have only single formula as the volume. The volume of all such prisms are area of base into height. So for instance, if you talk about, say, this figure, let's say this is a cube. It has all 3 dimensions equal, A, and A. Height is also A, breadth is also A, length is also A. So now volume of this figure is area of base. Now base is a square. The base here is going to be a square figure with side A and A. So A into A, the area is going to be A square. And the height is also A. And A square into A is A cube. And you know the volume of the cube is A cube. So because cube is a prism, you can apply this general formula and calculate the volume. Similarly, here also, in case of the cylinder, area of the base is pi r square because it is a circle. And this height is given, let's say, h. So pi r square h is the volume of this prism, which specifically we called cylinder. So you must be knowing that cylinder has the volume pi r square h. So similarly, you can derive your own formula without learning every other figure if you realize that is a prism. For example, this is a prism. But of course, when you talk about the base should be one of the 2 parallel faces. Like here, these 2 circles are parallel. These 2 squares are parallel. So similarly, these 2 triangles are parallel. So you cannot say the base is this rectangle. No, you have to first keep this figure vertical like this. You have to imagine this figure as vertical like this, and then only you can apply the formula. Like this, you have to imagine this figure. Now you can calculate the area of the base. Of course, everything should be provided. Side of the triangle should be provided, and then you can calculate the area of the base into height, and you can calculate your own volume for these prisms. If hexagonal base is given, the top is hexagon and the bottom is also, let's say, hexagon like this. And volume of such figure is asked, then also, if you realize this is a prism, then you can apply the formula area of base into height. Base you can calculate, we saw how to calculate the area for hexagon, and height also will be provided. So you don't have to remember the formulas for all such prism. Once you understand the generic formula or general formula for the volume of the prism, that is area of the base into height. Similarly, there are other figures which we call pyramids. So one of the very common pyramid is this, the circular base. Circular base, there is a circle on the ground, and all the edges, they congregate at one single point at certain height. That kind of figure is called as pyramid. You might say this is a cone, but again, cone is the specific name, pyramid is the generic. If you take a triangle, imagine there is a triangle lying on a ground, and all three its vertex, if they are joined at certain height in the air. Please pardon about this because it's a 3D, so you have to have little imagine. I'll show, of course, the figures later also, but you have to imagine this. A triangle lying on the ground, and all three vertex, they are congregating in the center at certain height. That kind of figure is called as pyramid. Square, if you take on the ground, and all four corners, if you join at certain height like this, that kind of figures are called as pyramid. So for those figures also, we have a same formula for volume, that is 1/3 into area of base into height. So for example, this figure, the volume will be 1/3 into area of base. Now base is a circle, so its area is going to be pi r square, and into this height, of course, will be provided to you, the vertical height, that is h. So you must be knowing for a cone, the volume is 1/3 pi r square h. This is the volume of a cone. And where it came from, the formula? From this generic form. So that means you can figure out the formula of volume for this also, or for any other figure for that matter, if you realize that is a pyramid. So I hope you understood what is the meaning of prism, what is the meaning of pyramid. Prism means both the planes should be parallel to each other and they should be equal in size and shape. And when you connect those at certain height, that kind of base is called a figure is called as prism. But if all the vertex they are congregated or joined at one point at height, that type of figure is called as pyramid. Easy? Okay, now apart from this, there are certain general figures for which the formula must be known. Let us start with. Okay, for your understanding, there are certain prisms and pyramids for. So as I told you, you should be able to identify which is prism, which is pyramid. Now, coming to the basic figures. The first very important figure for us is the cube. Now, cube is the figure which has all three dimensions equal. Its length, its breadth, and its height all will be equal. So let's say all are A. So what is the volume of cube? Volume of cube is A into A into A, that is A cube. Then there is a surface area. What is the surface area of cube? Surface area means sum of all the surfaces. So if you consider one single surface, that is a square, whose area is going to be A square. And there will be such 6 surfaces because a cube has 6 faces. So 6A square will be the surface area. In 3D figure, we have one more parameter to measure, that is its body diagonal. So this kind of diagonal which connects the farthest 2 points in a 3D figure, that is called as body diagonal. So imagine you are sitting in a cubicle room. The longest rod that can be fitted inside that room will be the one which starts with one of the corners, uppermost corners, and it can connect to the lowermost corner of the opposite facing wall, right? So that rod or that length is called as the body diagonal. You can use the Pythagoras theorem to find the length of the body diagonal, but here we'll directly consider the formula because derivation does not matter for these exams. So √3 times of A is the length of body diagonal if the side is given as A. If side is A, the body diagonal will be √3 times of A. Now this is about the cube. Now let's consider another figure, that is the cuboid. Now cuboid, as you can see, is this figure where the length, breadth, and height might be different. So this is length, this is breadth, and this is height. So the volume, if you apply the formula for prism, you will come to know the volume will be length into breadth into height. The surface area is going to be 2 times of length into height plus 2 times of breadth into height plus 2 times of length into breadth. It is very easy to figure out. And lastly, body diagonal. The body diagonal is the longest rod that can be fitted inside this room that starts from here and ends here. Again, you can use the Pythagoras theorem to figure out that. That will be L square plus B square plus H square. Direct formula based questions are asked based on this. That's why you must remember this. Next, cylinder. So you know, for cylinder there are two parameters. One is height, the height from top circle to the bottom circle, and another is the radius, like this. So if this height is h, the radius is r. In 3D, if you are finding it confusing, let me draw normal way. Cylinder is like the roll of paper. This, if we call height, the bottom circle, it will have radius as r. The volume of this figure is given as pi r square h, as we already saw. Then there are two types of surface area. One is called as curved surface area. Curved surface area means only the curvy area like this. Now imagine I made a roll of paper into the cylinder. If I open that paper, it will form a rectangle. So whatever the rectangle's area will be the area, or will be the curved surface area of this cylinder. So if I open it, if this is the cylinder, if I open that cylinder or open that roll of paper, that is going to form a rectangular sheet of paper like this. Whatever the area of this paper will be the curved surface area of this cylinder. So for area, you require the length and breadth. The length here will be the circumference of this circle. That circumference will be opened to form the length of this rectangle. That will be 2 pi r. And this height will be equal to this height. So if this height is h, this height is also h. So area of this rectangle being 2 pi r into h, length into breadth. So curved surface area will also be 2 pi r into h. And then comes the total surface area. The total surface area will be the curved surface area, which is 2 pi r h, plus the remaining areas we call the plane surface area. Now the top of this cylinder and bottom of this cylinder, they are the plane areas. Plane. They don't have any curve into it. Of course, that curve is there, but you don't have to consider that. You just have to consider it is a 2D figure. This is not 2D figure. This is a 2D figure, right? So that's why we call that as a plane surfaces. So the area of this surface and this surface will be pi r square plus pi r square, 2 pi r square. So the total surface area becomes 2 pi r h, which is curved surface area, and 2 pi r square, which is plane surface area. Addition of both is total surface. Okay, let's see the next important figure for us. That is the cone. Now cone, as you can see in this figure, cone will have three parameters to measure. One will be its perpendicular height. Perpendicular height means the height from the vertex to the bottom circle center. That height is called as h. Then there will be the radius. The radius will be radius of this circle. That will be called as r, radius. But then there will be another parameter to measure, which is called as the slant height. Slant height. So from here to here, if you see, this height is called as the slant height, and we denote it by L. L is lateral height or slant height. Now you imagine this is going to be a right angle triangle here, and that is going to form a right angle triangle. Hence, h square plus r square will be L square. That will be true for all these cones. Now, what is the volume of cone? Volume of cone is, as we already seen, 1 by 3 pi r square h. Now, curved surface area, you can directly memorize it. You can open it, it forms a triangle and all, but derivation does not matter. So curved surface area is given as pi r L, and total surface area is given as pi RL, that is curved surface area, plus plane surface, which is the bottom circle, that is pi R. This is about the cone. And lastly, we have two more figures left. One is sphere. Now sphere is very easy because it has only one parameter to measure. That's its the radius. So you know sphere is like the ball. So from center of the ball to the wall of the ball, whatever the distance is, that is called as the radius. So if the radius is r, the volume of sphere is given as 4 by 3 pi r cube. And it has only one surface area, that is its curved surface area. That can be also the total surface area because everything is curved. And that area is given as 4 pi r square. Now the last figure we are left with is hemisphere. Hemisphere, as you can see in this figure, it will have its radius. So if this is the radius r, this will also be the radius r. Both radius are equal because it's like you're cutting the ball into half. So if this is the radius r, this will also be the radius r. So its volume is going to be exactly half of the volume of the sphere. Sphere had 4 by 3, it will have 2 by 3 pi r. Now it will have again two surface areas. One will be the curved surface area. The curved surface area of the entire sphere was 4 pi r square. It will have half of it, that is 2 pi r square. But it now also has the plane surface, which is this circle. So we'll have to add that also into the 2 pi r square. The circle's area, which is pi r square, that makes it 3 pi r square. So that is what the total surface area for hemisphere is. So the question based on this topic will also be strictly formula based questions. So let us start with the questions upfront. Now this is the question that they asked in RBI Grade B 2019. Ratio of the heights of right circular cylinders A and B is 1:2. Ratio of the curved surface area of right circular cylinders A and B is 2:3. Find the ratio of radius of right circular cylinder. So there are two right circular cylinders. So consider this is the right circular cylinder, means cylinder basically, A, and another cylinder there. Let's call it B. This is cylinder A, this is cylinder B. They are saying the ratio of the heights is 1:2. So the height here is, let's say, x. The height here is going to be 2x because the ratio is 1:2. Ratio of the curved surface area of these are 2:3. Find the ratio of the radius. So the radius, let's say here, is small a. Radius here is, let's say, small b. So what is the formula for curved surface area? The curved surface area is the formula pi 2 pi r h. 2 pi r h. So 2 into pi into r, the radius of here is a. 2 pi r h upon 2 pi r h. This ratio is given as 2/3. The ratio of the curved surface areas is given as 2/3. So 2 pi can get cancelled like this. X can get cancelled like this. This 2 will go here. So that gets us A upon B is equal to 4/3. That means the ratio between the radius here is 4:3. Option number D should be the answer. Easy. Let's see one more. Okay. Perimeter of a base of cylinder is 66. Find the volume of the cylinder if height of cylinder is 0.04 meter. So we are talking here about the cylinder. Cylinder is the figure like this. Perimeter of the base of cylinder is 66. So if you say the height, the radius is r, the perimeter of the base means the circle, which is 2 into pi into r, which is given as 66. This is 22's 3 times. So the r will be 21 upon 2 into the centimeter. The radius will come out to be 21 upon 2. The height is already given, that is 0.04 meter. The height is 0.04 meter. If you want to convert into centimeter, we'll have to multiply with 100 because 100 centimeter is 1 meter. So that gets us 4 meter. 4 meter is the height. So if height is 4 meter, radius is this much, they are asking what is the volume. The formula of volume is pi r square h. So pi r square into h. So 2 into 2 gets cancelled with 4. 7 gets cancelled here with 3. And you just have to solve this. So once you solve it, you realize it is going to be 1386. You can go for last digit also, or you can go for the answer should be multiple of. See, in all the figures which have circular shapes into it, we'll have pi into the formula. And pi is multiple of 11 already because pi is 22 by 7. It has 11 into the numerator. 22 is 11 into 2. So mostly 90% of the times our answer has to be multiple of 11. So you can look for multiple of 11 straight away. Of course, there are mostly options are multiple of 11, but I'm talking in general. But here, if you solve this, the answer will be 1386. So this is how the questions are asked in these banking exams based on strictly formulas. Let's see 1 or 2 more questions. It says sum of the volume of cylinder S and volume of cone C is 2190. Height of both cylinder and cone is same, that is 10. If radius cone is 15, find the ratio of radius of cylinder to radius of cone. So there are 2 figures first of all. One is the cylinder and another is the cone. Sum of volume of cylinder S and volume of cone C is this. Height of both cylinder and cone is same, that is 10. ये भी 10 दिया है, ये भी 10 दिया. Both are given 10. Radius of cone is 15. इसका हमें radius दिया है 15. इसका radius हमें नहीं दिया है, let's say R. और आपको और एक चीज दी है कि दोनों के वॉल्यूम का सम दिया है. इसका वॉल्यूम कितना होता है दोस्तों? इसका वॉल्यूम होता है पाई आर स्क्वायर एच. सो पाई आर स्क्वायर एच प्लस इसका वॉल्यूम कितना होता है? 1/3 पाई आर स्क्वायर एच. 1/3 पाई आर स्क्वायर इंटू एच. इन दोनों का सम आना चाहिए 2190 पाई. तो पाई पाई तो कैंसिल हो जाएगा दोनों साइड से. यहां से पाई पाई कैंसिल हो जाएगा यहाँ के पाई के साथ. 3 के लिए होता है 5 टाइम्स. ये हो जाएगा 750 plus 10r square is equal to this. So 10r square is equal to, just subtract 750 from it, it becomes 1440. So r square will be equal to 144. The r will be then root of it, which is 12. The radius will come out to be 12. 12 अगर radius है इसका, तो आपको radius का ratio ही पूछा है. Radius का ratio आएगा 12:15. Radius का ratio आएगा 12:15. Dividing by 3, we get 4:5. Easy. So this is how the questions are going to be asked. One more time, I'll tell you, you don't have to go for 3D into the figures like frustrum. फ्रस्ट्रम क्या होता है? कोन को अगर आप इस तरह से काट दो तो जो बकेट टाइप का शेप बनेगा उसको फ्रस्ट्रम बोलते हैं. या फिर कभी स्लैंटली काट दिया किसी फिगर को तो कोई फिगर बन सकता है. बट ऐसे सारे चीजों में हमें नहीं जाना है. हमें बिल्कुल जो बेसिक फिगर्स हमने आज देखे हैं, you have to stick with those figures, the basic formula. But the important thing is formula should be by heart. You can't derive the formula all the time. You don't have that much time into the exam. Sorry. So I hope everybody understood how to tackle these questions, how questions are going to be simple in all these exams. Do sufficient practice. We'll be providing you the questions. So thank you for watching this video. Have a good day.